the justice system from accessing those IDs as well. So are you ready to be charged with human trafficking just for trying to be a good neighbor? No. Florida is a welcoming state where everyone can be free. We have had decades of history of being an accepting place for immigrants to come and to build a life for themselves. So we're not going to let that be changed all of a sudden just because Ron DeSantis has an agenda and he wants to see himself in the White House. We're not going to let him step over our immigrant friends and step over the people that love them just because he wants to ascend in his political career. That's not right.
Say that.
Yes.
Now, we are here though because we understand that a lot of our immigrant community really values their faith, and really our faith communities have welcomed immigrants with open arms for decades in this state. And with this law, it's just a complete disregard for our freedom of religion, our religion that tells us that we need to welcome our neighbor, that we need to treat the stranger in a strange land as ourselves.
Yeah.
It is not right that anybody that operates, that has a place of worship would be charged with human trafficking for allowing a parishioner to come in that is undocumented. That's not right. So with that being said, we're going to have a few speakers from the faith community come up and speak about this bill and speak about how it would affect them, how it would affect their parishioners. Then we're going to have a prayer, okay? So the first speaker that is going to come up is from the Anglican Free Communion International. Her name is Reverend Deacon Diane Larson. Give it up for Diane Larson.
Woo!
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay. I'm a deacon in the Anglican Free Communion International. And by international, we have churches all over the world. In fact, the church I serve at right now is a church plant from Bolivia. So we are in South America, Europe, and actually the least where we are is the United States of America. So we represent all people. So one of our main platforms is all are welcome here. All are welcome here. Now, if you'll all join me in saying that, all are
Welcome here.
One more time.
All
welcome
here.
And that is our church community. I'm a deacon in that church. And for those of you who may not be familiar with deacons, we have the coolest job because we're kind of the undercover folks. But one of the things that we primarily do is we bring the church into the community and the community back into the church.
Yeah.
So that means I hang out in the community and I bring the community's needs to the church. I'm wearing what we call an ecclesia cross. And for those of you who may not be familiar with the term, ecclesia means the church. So wherever I am, and I say wherever anyone is, we bring the church with us. My primary ministry is with people on the street and people who live on the edge. And I've been doing that for some time. And one of the things that I had the great opportunity to do when I was in training to become a deacon is that I got to hang out at a church in Jacksonville that primarily serves those who are marginalized, poor, and on the street. And we had services on the street. It's called Church Without Walls. You may be familiar with it. And that's where I received this cross. And we welcome everyone who wants to come to that service. We don't ask them what religion they are. We don't ask them if they're baptized. We say, you are welcome here. You're welcome to be with us. And every Tuesday night before COVID, we would have a dinner, and we would also have a food pantry open in another part of Springfield, and we would serve dinner and also hand out food. And one day, a woman came and said, I suddenly am in charge of all these people in my life, and I need some food. And we said, sure, okay. We got her information and got the food put together for her. And she said, and I have my two nieces, and I don't know what to do with them, and they're hungry. And we said, well, we have food. We have a dinner in about an hour. So she brought them back for dinner. And she kept coming back, and we made her feel welcome, she said, and that was our goal. And over time, she told us the story. And the reason that she had these two nieces and now all these people in her home, and this was prior to COVID, so try to go back and remember that time. ICE had picked up the mother of these two children, Shane. And she is their aunt, was their aunt at that, or is their aunt, and she then needed help. And we were there. We didn't ask anything more than she wanted to tell us. And what our primary mission, because of what God calls us to do, is to serve her and her family. And that is what we as the church do, right? We serve those in need. We don't ask for any credentials, we just serve. And having been called to be ordained, and I would say before that I was also called by God, and I believe that each and every one of us belongs to the eternal priesthood, which means that each and every one of us are called to serve God. And I believe that when we're called to do something, it's like a freight train going full on, and you can't stop that call. And politics should not stop our call to serve our great Lord and the people, our brothers and sisters. So join me in remembering that our call is to serve one another, and that in this state, the state where we have people from so many parts of the world, we are truly called to look at each other as God would want us to and wants us to every day, and remember that we are to love Him and to love our neighbor, our neighbor as ourselves. And may we find the words to get through the minds and hearts and to the hearts of our politicians, and the actions to get through the hearts of our politicians, for them to understand that the call of God is stronger than any politics, and the call of God says, help our neighbor, be a neighbor, and love me. Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Reverend.